All right, welcome in to Before Floor, an extension of 5 on the Floor here on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. Follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick. We've got Greg Sylvander. You can follow him at Greg Sylvander. Our Brady Hawk is in the health and safety protocols. We want him to get anyone else here sick. I'm sure he'll only churn out 4 articles in the next 2 days. But Brady, get well soon. Also, no Ricky or Jonathan tonight. Jonathan on the post-game show. So we've got Tony Schwartz. You can follow him at Tony Schwartz NBA. And, of course, our producer, Alejandro Villegas.
We have enough.
We always have enough. We also got those T-shirts on the site, by the way. We're giving away one of those shirts today at halftime to someone. I'm going to let Greg pick it, actually. To someone who follows Water Cleanup FL on Twitter. Water Cleanup FL. It's a Boca-based company. If you follow them on Twitter, you're going to be eligible to win a We Have Enough T-shirt, which is on our site. We also recommend that others of you buy them. Also, we are sponsored by our friends over at Biscayne Bay Brewing. We brought them in at the beginning. You can find them at many local supermarkets, such as Publix, as well as Whole Foods, Winn-Dixie, local restaurants like Quarterdeck, etc. You can find the Pastime Pilsner, the Marlins Lager, the Tropical Bay IPA, and much, much more, again, at many of those places in South Florida. Also, you can find them at the kiosk when the Heat come back at the 100 level and the 300 level. Biscayne Bay, it's FTX Arena. Biscayne Bay Brewing, the official beer of the 5 Reasons Sports Network and of the Miami Marlins. We're also sponsored by our friend Mark Brown. You can follow him at markbrownpa.com. That's markbrownpa.com. This is where you go if you're looking to build an estate plan. Great small office there in North Lauderdale, just north of Cypress Creek, off of Andrews. Also can help you if you're looking to sell real estate. Or if you got real estate in your estate plan, you want to have somebody who knows what the hell to do with that. That is the most important thing typically. So go to markbrownpa.com. There's the phone number, 954-566-5678. 954-566-5678. And Mark's a big Miami sports fan. I run into him at the games all the time. All right, let's get to it. We don't have the Brady who's in, who's out thing tonight. Brady's out. I feel like we should read that. But PJ Tucker may be in, right, Greg? Like we talked about they may add one. He flew all the way out to Golden State or to San Francisco, but he's still listed as questionable according to Spoelstra. I mean, we expect he's going to play, right?
I mean, if he can get there, I think he will play. The fact that they're even announcing it means that I think he's leaning on playing. And other than that, there's no changes. But that's a welcome addition, particularly against this team. And I think they can get back to normal on certain things. So that's the big addition. If he can make it there in time and get ready to go. Obviously, that's a huge positive sign that they're getting another guy back. I wonder who will be gone all of a sudden. I don't think it'll be Rio. But the big thing tonight that I think is going to be interesting to watch is just how they navigate the avalanches that Golden State brings. And I saw a stat that when they hit 15 threes, they basically are unbeatable. But the Heat, they have some things that they can do, and we'll get into it in a moment. So I think it's going to be a more interesting matchup than maybe people think when you, kind of see some of the 10-dayers that are going to go up against the Golden State Warriors with the best record in basketball.
Well, PJ coming back helps in a couple of ways here. Again, provided he does come back. One, Tony, you don't have to play Omer, 35 minutes necessarily because you don't trust anybody else. And also, you've got, a guy in Draymond Green on the other side who, I mean, PJ Tucker's not Draymond Green, but they do some similar things. They switch. PJ's not the playmaker that Draymond is. He's a better shooter, actually, than Draymond, particularly from those corners. But it does give you another guy to use there in the big man rotation, which at 6'5", 6'6", PJ Tucker is for the Heat.
It also allows you to switch up front a lot easier. I'm terrified of playing drop against this Golden State team. They're 6th in the league in offense and pace. But they don't shoot a lot of 2-pointers, right? Their entire offense is predicated around that 3. They're launching 40 threes on average per game. That's ridiculous. Okay. So if I'm Miami tonight, I want to switch everything up front as much as I possibly can, because playing them in a drop, trying to play them man to man, they're also, I think, 2nd in the league in assists. They're going to tear you up.
We talk about playing against their guys. There's a couple guys in the Heat who've had success against Golden State before. One of them is Kyle Lowry. I looked at him in Prize Picks tonight because Warriors fans have PTSD about some Lowry games against Golden State. Obviously, the finals play into that. Of course, Golden State wasn't completely healthy there, but he has typically, Greg, he has typically given Steph some trouble. Kyle has. In kind of that bulldog way that he plays, but also he's going to keep coming at Steph a little bit on the make him play on the defensive end. Some like I feel like I would say who's the most important person in this game for the Heat tonight? It might be Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who they deploy on Steph full time because I suspect it's not going to be Kyle. I think that they're going to get creative there, and I that's a fun thing to watch. But to your point about. That Kyle can give them trouble. Miami has given Golden State trouble. I mean, Miami has won 4 of their last 5 matchups against Golden State. And let's see, they've scored 110 or more in the last 6 head-to-head matchups. So Miami has made these games not only competitive in winning some of, most of them, but also they're scoring and kind of playing at that higher pace. So I expect a huge Jimmy night. I think Tyler can get it going. I said it on the timeline. Tonight is a Bucket Bros night. So the Splash Bros won't be out there, but the Bucket Bros will.
Yeah, Zylan Chino, by the way, his 10-day expired. So that's why we keep talking about this. Guy's coming back. He never got to play, unfortunately for him. He was in the protocols, but he could be a guy that the Heat go back to at some point. They do that. Tony, Hero, the debate, which has gone on here for a while. Does he start? Does he not start? They're not getting Strus or Vincent back, so I'm assuming that he does start again tonight. He hasn't been as good in that role consistently. They got it going a little bit. Where do you come down on this whole idea of Tyler as starter versus Tyler off the bench?
I think Tyler's shown you enough of his playmaking ability that regardless of where he plays, he has the ability to impact the game, especially in closing minutes. His role seems more limited. He has to think a lot less when he's coming off the bench. His job is to score the basketball. For young guys, limiting their role is always the best option. Make them as effective and efficient as humanly possible. But that isn't me saying I think we're dead in the water if Tyler starts. He's a talented guy. He's smart. This is a professional basketball player. Deal, adapt. But saying that if we can get Tyler coming off the bench to do one thing and play his game the way he likes to play it, then I want to do that. I want Tyler coming off the bench as much as possible because that's what's best for the player right now.
Can you play? I mean, I guess with Tucker coming back, you just put him. I mean, he's going to start, right? If he plays, right? So you start Yurtseven with him.
And then keep Caleb in, and you could move Tyler to the bench and effectively get back to what Spo really wants to do because they'd like to have Tyler off the bench. To Tony's point, simplifying the game is this year what I think that they are aiming for with Tyler, and it's working. Long term, there's another conversation to be had about what that means for him and what eventually he's a starter. He's too good. But for this year. They're going to keep him in that role as much as possible. And if PJ Tucker returns, I think there are avenues where you could see Tyler come off the bench tonight.
Wait, did that come in here on the time? Have we seen something about Yurtseven not playing? Is that because that can't? I've been trying to while Greg's talking here. I'm going through some of the comments. I haven't heard that. I'll check Twitter. I mean, we just came on here 5 minutes ago, but I have not heard that I didn't hear Spoelstra say that in the pregame. So if that is true, obviously that would be a blow tonight. And we'll go through it. But, if he does play, then the assumption would be that maybe Tucker slides into the starting lineup for Hero, which is not what you would typically expect. But it gives you another guard off the bench. That's the comment from Deschutes. I don't know if that's accurate or not. We'll have to check that out when the show is over. All right, so let's get to some of the other 10-day guys. People are asking if Rio's going to play. We thought he would play against Sacramento. The game got too close. They seem to have other guards. I mean, Stauskas played. Kyle Guy play. It seems like he likes playing Kyle Guy. I would figure that Rio's not going to be a big part of the rotation here to begin the game, but then I joked yesterday that if you don't think you can win the game, you throw Rio out there for 30 minutes and let him chase Steph around. Do you think we'll see him tonight? Greg?
I've been wrong about this. It's going to go one of two ways. Either if there's a blowout, then Rio's going to get minutes. or he's not going to play. Because if the game's close,
Right.
I feel like Spo has honed in on the couple of these guys from the 10-day crop that he can plug in, and they either fit the specialized skill that he needs in that particular spot at that moment, or they just do enough things actively and defensively to stay in the ball game. So I don't think that he's going to deviate from that if it's close. Getting a win at Golden State would be huge. But if Golden State's up by 32 at halftime, it may be Rio time in the third quarter.
Yeah, there won't be anybody staying up to watch it, including you, which is a discussion that we'll have later. By the way, on the poll today, is Greg washed or will he make it to the end of the game? It was 50-50. I think it actually can be both, but it did go 50-50. It could go either way. And Tony does not look like Tyler Hero's little brother. He looks like his big brother, so I just wanted to clarify that here a little bit. Tony, give me a path to victory tonight.
Hey, Golden State doesn't lose a lot, but the 7 teams they lost to, the Grizzlies, the Hornets, the Suns, the Spurs, the Raptors, the 76ers, guess what they all have in common? They play multiple styles of defense against them. They're switch heavy and they're long. Okay. This team turns the ball over a lot. All right. They're at 14.4% of all their possessions turning the ball over. You have to get in front of them and apply pressure heavy, switching front. That's what we're on tonight, because they are going to shoot the lights out of the ball. And if they do it, you want a hand in their face to contest as best you can. So I'm not as worried about Kevon Looney. If Kevon Looney's going to drop 20 on us, then that's what's going to happen. Right. Give up something at the rim, because they got to take away the perimeter, because that's all they're shooting.
It's a good point. If you look back, Steph's numbers against Miami, there are games. I remember one against LeBron's team where Dwayne sat and LeBron hit the shot right before the buzzer, before the All-Star game, and Dwayne was in the locker room, and he knew he didn't have a TV in there, but he knew. I was at that one at Oracle, and he knew that LeBron had made the shot just by hearing it. That was one of the most significant regular season shots that LeBron made while with the Heat. And Steph had a game that night. Steph also had a game here. I remember it was kind of Draymond Green's coming out party.
They don't have
Draymond
Bam.
Became a starter. But
I
Bam
feel
on
like
Curry changes the equation. We haven't talked about that much, and I'll let you get in here with how they would. But one of the things we haven't talked about in some of these games is how other guards would be affected by Bam's presence. We've just sort of gotten used to Bam not playing at this stage. And I know we've also gotten some comments here that have come in about Bam's timeline. We said this on the show yesterday. I mean, Greg and I are sticking with the timeline that we heard initially, which was longer than the Heat timeline or the Woj timeline. So I'm not expecting Bam to be back in the next couple of weeks. Tony, you had something, and then we'll let Greg close.
No, Sean had said in the comments, Omer and switch scares the crap out of him. It scares the crap out of me too. I think there might be a lot of PJ 5 minutes tonight. We should probably prep for that. But I don't know if you switch everything. I don't know if this defense is fundamentally sound enough right now to only switch 1 to 3 or only switch 1 to 4. But I don't know if you switch everything, just because you can't have Omer in the switch.
You can't. But as far as we know, Omer is playing, right? Like that is.
Yeah, I just searched down. Nothing from any of the beat guys that are traveling or anything like that. So I don't know if that's just Twitter fodder or what. There is one other path, y'all, but this is a tough one. So in total rebounds, Golden State is 5th in the league, and Miami's what now? Let me make sure I have this correctly. They're 18th, and Yurtseven can play in here. The Heat are 18-3 this year when they out rebound their opponent. So tonight, if they're going to give up some 3-point shots, they got to crash the boards. I don't know how they're going to play those schemes and those defenses and also crash the boards. That's a Spo problem, not a lefty Leif Greg Sylvander problem. But that's another path. If they can control the boards, they can get this one.
And Spears is saying that PJ is going to play, then PJ is going to play because Mark is based out there and he has a relationship with PJ. So if he's saying it is correct. I trust Mark's information. That one. But we have talked a lot about this, and Brady's got into this, that they can run Bam stuff when Tucker is out there. They have not been able to run certain things. So this could be a game, like you say, where we see a lot of this Tucker at the 5 minutes. And Yurt, even if playing, does not really play a big role, but he just becomes the other big beyond Tucker so that you don't have to play maybe some of the other guys that you were playing. Because I don't want to see really nice guy. I think we all agree on this. Nobody wants to see Chris Silva out there tonight. Okay, so if nothing else, if PJ Tucker's minutes replace the Chris Silva's minutes, that's a good. I hate to say it. I know he wants to bring the bacon, but all I see is him bringing the turnovers. I don't know. I want to see them back out there with Tucker. And this is going to be one of these things. It's like every game they're going to trickle back one, right? Like there's going to be one new guy who comes back. We're expecting that Strus and Vincent could be the next two. Maybe they're together, maybe one and then the other. But they're starting to get a guy back here. I don't think they win tonight, but I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I think this is going to be a competitive game. I just wish they'd gotten the one last night. I looking back at it, I watched a replay of it again, guys, tonight. It was there for them. They just got lazy. I hate to say it, Jimmy got lazy. Those two runs, they got up 7, they got up 8, and they let them come back and tie it immediately both times with some lazy threes. I still don't understand the one-footed three that Jimmy took. I'm not focusing on the last play of the game that happens, but I wish they'd gotten that one. I don't think they get this one, but I think there's going to be some encouraging things. I will say this. I would feel better about this game if Gabe Vincent was playing. I never thought I would say that, but I just feel like we talk about the way you want to play Curry, but I feel like Gabe would have been hounding Curry for 20, 25 minutes. You don't have Gabe and you don't have Bam. That puts a lot on Lowry tonight. We'll see if he can give it to him. All right, check out our sponsors, markbrownpa.com, Biscayne Bay Brewing, and, of course, prizepicks.com. I did not send him into protocols. I want Brady working all the time. So, unfortunately, if Brady can't work here, he's really not feeling good. So we hope Brady feels better. Alex was under the weather as well. It's going around, so we hope everybody gets well. Go to prizepicks.com. Use the code 5. Yes, Alejandro.
Those are excuses. I'm not feeling well, but I'm here. We always have enough.
We have enough. We have enough. You are there. We appreciate it. We want you to feel better as well. All right. Stick around for Pace and Space at halftime. Again, we're giving away a T-shirt. Water Cleanup FL. Water Cleanup FL. Want to be in the running for a T-shirt. Post up after the game. 5 on the floor maybe after the game. There's no chance Greg's staying up, although I wasn't going to say that with him on here. Tony, thanks for joining.
Of course. Bye, guys.
Eric, I guess the first question, PJ Tucker, I know traveled out there today. What is his status going in?
He's still questionable. He's going to go through a routine, and I'll meet with the training staff and talk to PJ, and we'll figure out what the best course of action will be.
How encouraging is it, though, that guys are getting out of protocols? First, Kyle, now PJ, that the pattern seems to be swinging, maybe the pendulum, hopefully better in your favor.
Yeah, no question. We feel optimistic, that we'll be returning, some of our guys on this road trip. And we just keep on forging ahead. We've had, like I said, while guys have been out, we've had some, amazing nights. We came up short the other night, last night in Sacramento. But this group, just continues to compete and try to give ourselves the best chance, to have an opportunity to win, regardless of who's here or not.
And then last one from me. You'll be spending a lot of upcoming summers with Steve Kerr. Your relationship with him, and how excited are you for that? Thank you.
I'm really excited about it. Obviously I'm incredibly honored and humbled just to have an opportunity to work with Steve and Grant and the entire staff. And be a part of the USAB program. It's a dream for any coach to be part of the program. And I have such great, deep respect for Steve. I think he just has a really creative and innovative mind. And I find the way he approaches the game really interesting. So I'm really excited about it. It's one of those kind of pinch you moments to make you feel like it's real.
All right, up next, we have Cooper Moorhead, Heat.com. Go ahead.
Yeah, Spo, because of what Omer's been able to do and the opportunity he's had the last few weeks, has his play at all sped up or changed the developmental process behind the scenes at all, or is it been pretty much the same plan the whole time?
Yeah, I would say it's been the same plan. Even when he wasn't playing, it was to improve his mentality and improve his game and things that would help us win. And then, of course, staying in great shape and staying ready for the opportunity when it inevitably would come. We haven't changed our approach with that. Even though he's playing more minutes, it's still about his development and getting him better. And with all of our young guys, ultimately it's about helping them learn how to impact winning. And how can you help this team win and be in a better position?
I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, we'll go to the room now.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about this decision to bring Rio back, and what do you hope, if this isn't a long-term thing, that he gets from this?
Well, Rio and I have kept in touch. He worked out with us a couple times this summer. And, the timing wasn't right, coming from training camp because of where we are with our roster. But then, he played a couple games in the G League. And we stayed in touch. And this has just been a really unique, uncommon week. And so there was a mad scramble for roster spots. And guys are going off the board. And I think we all saw, that Rio, kept himself in shape. He and I had just texted, a couple weeks ago. He said that, he's ready if the opportunity would come about. And we hadn't really gone through this COVID stretch. We were going through our injury stretch. So I'm thinking hey, it's great to hear from Rio and reconnect with him. But, hopefully we're not going to have, a bunch of spots available. And, of course, like everybody else, we did, and happened quickly. And I just enjoy it. I like the human part of it, bringing him back, part of the family. I mean, he told me something crazy this summer. He said he wants to get into this profession. And I asked him if he was nuts. Are you kidding? But if he does choose, eventually when he's done playing, he still has, if he chooses to, he's got years ahead of him because he's in shape, and his style of play would lend itself to be able to play, a few more years. But if he does decide that he wants to get into this madness, I'd love to help him, and continue the relationship, whether it's with us or somebody else.
Do you think he's meant to the Heat organization what he's given to his whole career?
Yeah, he's a major part of, the banners that were up there. We were together from the beginning of his career. A lot of development was spent with Rio and in the summers and working with our staff, and then preparing himself to be one of the mainstays of those championship years. Really enjoyed seeing his growth and progress as a professional and as a human being. He's just a good guy. So we've always kept in touch, and I don't know where this is going to go. We all have to just keep an open mind to this. This is like nothing else we've been a part of before. But if you have an opportunity to, do something like this, even if it's just a short period of time, I think it's worth it. And I'm grateful for the relationship.
Back here, Ron Krajcik from the San Francisco Chronicle. You obviously had Andre Iguodala the last 2 years, and he's missed some games with knee soreness here, but when he's played, he's had some really good games. 12, 8, and 7, I think, the last game. I'm curious what you learned about him in those 2 years and how much he can still contribute to a team like the Warriors. He's almost 38, but he's obviously still a factor.
Yeah, the human side that I just mentioned, this is the perfect scenario for him to end up back here. And because of his IQ and understanding of the game and experience, he literally could do this for 5 more years. I doubt he'll choose that path, but he sees things so much quicker before they happen. And that just fits in perfectly well with their system and what Steve wants to do, and helping Curry and the rest of the guys maximize their games. Him coming to us, for 2 years was such a blessing. I was always a fan of his, and I had always hoped that one day in my career I'd have an opportunity to coach him. And then, when they're winning all the championships, you're like, all right, that's never going to happen. And then, An amazing sequence of sliding doors that we were able to acquire him. And then in the bubble, he was so incredible. His leadership, his guidance, for everybody. We had somebody in the room that had championship experience, and his skill set. I don't think it was talked about enough. In that bubble run that we had in the playoffs, I literally played him at all 5 positions. At some point, depending on the series, I played him as our backup point guard in a series. I played him as our backup center in the Boston series, and of course, played him at the 3, his natural position coming into the league. Definitely played him at the 4. I mean, that was his first position he played with us, and then he played some at the 2. So he guarded all 5 positions, and he played all 5 positions, and that was probably the first time anybody had done that really for us. And he was just a fun guy to be around. I learned a lot from him, and even just his approach and bringing joy, to everything every day. I think it was meant to be, a merging of the 2 cultures, and we took a lot from him. I hope that he took, some from us. But I'm a big time fan of his.
I guess one quick follow up. One of the conversations out here about him is his hands and how often he strips guys. You have any favorite story, any favorite anecdote about him his hands in a game with you those 2 years?
Somebody would post him up. Our coaching staff would all look at each other and say, they obviously didn't look at the scouting report. They're backing in. Once you get to like 3rd dribble, that's not going to end up well, regardless of who it is his positioning, and then the timing of doing it and doing it without fouling is incredible. But he's great at deflections, great at seeing plays before they happen. He's an incredible communicator, on defense. So he can be the back line of your defense. He can be the front of your defense. He played the front line of our zone defense, which he had never done before since probably high school, he said. And he did it as well as anybody we had on the roster. He learned it in a day. So that defensive skill set is something you couldn't teach. He would do it all the time. And then with all of our young players, we'd always have to go back in a meeting the next day and say, don't try to do what Andre did. You do that, that's going to be a foul. 1,000% of the time. You don't have the technique, you don't have the feel, don't have the hands. So don't just admire it, but don't try to copy it.
Hi, Eric. Janie McCauley from Associated Press. Klay Thompson may return later this week. And just, are you eager to see from afar how they, work him in and how he comes back from this 2-year absence? And they're already a deep team, and now they're adding Klay and potentially Wiseman here soon too.
Fit in, great. It's all a matter of getting his rhythm and timing back. But he's been working very diligently behind the scenes, and it's not like his game is a game that you have to adjust what they do. In terms of usage, or hey, you got to get him touches or anything. He's just going to be running around all over the place, and all of it unscripted, and that's all part of his beauty and genius of how he plays. And Steve has created a system that just really maximizes those skill sets. They're really unique, and I think it'll, it's going to be seamless. It's just a matter of getting in that game conditioning. All right, thank you.
Update. It's possible, but no update.
And then if I can ask one other follow, is Draymond obviously coming back tonight? I imagine he starts, and just sort of what do you expect from him given 8-9 days off?
Yeah, he told me that he had a couple of great workouts the last couple of days, that he's felt great the whole time physically. So I don't anticipate any setbacks for him. I think maybe even this time off will have done him some good. I mean, he's been playing so well and so hard for us, and sometimes a little break, unintended break can be a positive. So can't wait to get him back tonight.
What about
Jordan, is he going to start or is he still coming off the bench tonight?
We're going to start Gary tonight, and Jordan will come off the bench.
Is that also, because I know last game you talked about that being kind of the matchup, but is it also, again, in preparation for Clay's coming back real soon and wanting
Well,
to get him?
it's matchup based. There's no guarantee I'm going to start this way in Dallas and New Orleans. And moving forward, it's just, this is the way we're going to go tonight. And we'll see how it goes.
The only guys on your injury report are Clay and James, the usual folks with their long-term injuries, with a healthy team now. And I hope this is not a cursed question. Are you optimistic that COVID is done rolling through the team and you'll be healthy to start this year?
No. Are you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
How do the precautions continue and how do you make sure the team stays as healthy as possible?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's just trying to follow the protocols and wear masks on the plane and in the locker room and be as safe as possible. But this thing has been so random, and it doesn't feel over by any means for us. So we just have to stay vigilant and hopefully get lucky. But we'll keep moving forward.
The league rescheduled your game that was postponed against Denver. What do you think about where it landed in March?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot tougher for us than for Denver, obviously, because they don't have to go anywhere and we have to, make a special trip there. So not ideal, but it is what it is. And a lot of teams are having to make concessions and doing different things to just keep the league moving while we go through this. So that's what we'll do.
Steve, what stage is James at this point?
James cleared protocols, so he took part in shoot around this morning, and will continue to ramp up his activity. He won't go on the road trip, but he will continue to get work in while we're gone, and then we're hopeful that he's able to get in contact work next week when we come back.
Safe to assume that Clay will go on the road trip?
Clay is going on the trip, yes.
Steve, 2 games without Draymond. What did you learn about your team, and particularly those adjustments that you made from the first to second game that led to 39 assists and 123 points?
Well, we have a deep team, and we've shown this year we're able to win games. When we're missing guys. Draymond is one of the key guys on our team and in the league, really. I think the best defensive player in the league. And so it makes it more difficult to win. And that's why I thought the Utah game was as impressive a win as we've had all year. The team played great, moved the ball, knocked down shots, and defended a great offensive team, the best offensive team in the league. Well enough to win. So I was really proud of the guys and really excited to get Draymond back tonight.
Steve, in your experience, can you recall a story remotely similar to that of Gary? Given where he was a year ago, where he was 3 months ago, and where he is now?
I'd have to give it some thought. Raymond probably has some ideas, but just tell her he completely made that up. Yes. But yeah, it is pretty unique. Usually if a guy bounces around for 5 or 6 years, he keeps bouncing around. So it's pretty rare for a story like this to occur. It's a testament to Gary's perseverance. And I think his work ethic, because he's really worked hard to make himself into the player that he's become. He's basically known as a non-shooter all the way up until this year. Now he's shooting over 40% from 3. That doesn't just happen. That's a lot of hours in the gym. So it's one of the things I love about this team. We've got a lot of guys who have had to claw their way to get here, and that establishes a toughness within the group that I really like.
Following up on that earlier question about Jordan, I mean, obviously it's going to be a challenge to rearrange the rotation a bit when Clay comes back. How do you handle someone like Jordan, who's had obviously some success in a starting role and obviously is going to be affected significantly by Clay's return?
Yeah, I mean, there will be a lot of guys who are affected by Clay's return. And I've talked to the group, I've talked to individual players. It's not an easy thing to deal with. As for Jordan, he's still going to play a huge role for our team moving forward. We're going to need him. But it's a different role, and that's not an easy thing to adjust to during the season. So we're just lucky to have Jordan. We're thrilled with his progress that he's made over the last couple of years, and we think he's going to be an impact player for us for a long time. And this is a special season we have going, and I think one of the things our guys understand is if you have a chance to play on a really good team, a team that has a shot, sacrifices need to be made, and that's going to be the case for a lot of guys. But that's understood.
Sort of along those lines, what's it going to be like for guys like Jordan and others? I think there's 10 or 12 of the players on the roster who've never played with Clay. How quick a process can that be? How do you sort of acclimate? I mean, obviously Steph and Draymond and Looney are so familiar playing with him, but there's so many other guys who are not at all.
Yeah. I've actually told all those guys, don't cater to Clay because he'll get his shots. Don't worry about him. Clay's going to be fine. Simple as that. Clay heard it and he agreed.
I think Wiggins remarked something about, this is Andre relaying it, that, wow, Clay doesn't dribble. Are they prepared for the style of basketball that Clay likes to play?
Well, it's really easy to play with someone who doesn't dribble. It's very hard to play with somebody who dribbles a lot. So that's the beauty of Clay, is that he would fit on any one of the 30 teams in the league immediately, because he's going to come off screens and catch and shoot. And that quality allows an offense to flow. The difficulty comes when a guy is pounding it 10, 12 times and the whole offense stops. So it's one of the reasons our team has been what it is for many years, because of Clay and his style of play.
Came here and exploded once he got
here. Okay.
I like short guys.
He's not completely useless after all.